Election is right around the corner, and this morning we're going to be talking about legal advice surrounding Election Day and all the things that you need to know. Joining me this morning is Miranda Adderley. She's the chair of the Bahamas Criminal Bar Committee. Good morning and welcome back to Bahamas at Sunrise.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. It's always a pleasure to have you on because we get to know the law, the rules, and this is what we need to know for Election Day.
Yes.
Tensions are rising. We had the advance polls last week,
Yes.
and we saw the videos going on. Everyone just seems a little bit heated, right?
Yes.
So we need to know, where do we stand as voters? Why is it important for us to understand our rights as voters?
Yes. Well, I think it's important. This only happens once every 5 years, and there's so much power in elections, So we get to decide who's going to be, our leader, our government for the next 5 years. So it is important that we encourage the public to get out and vote. We don't want what has happened in the advance polls to discourage voters from getting out to vote. I think a lot of those issues are working on being resolved. As far as I'm aware, I think that there's supposed to be separate rooms for those persons who are disabled so that they won't be on the same lines as persons who aren't, that there are going to be separate rooms for the elderly. So that should help with a lot of the delays that had come about in the advance polls. However, it is election day. There are going to be a lot of people out there to vote. So I would say practical tips, maybe walk with, a cold bottle of water, maybe have some snacks because you don't know how long the lines will be. So I would say, to come prepared. Just a little bit of practical advice as well, because I know a lot of people may be concerned because they don't have a purple voter's card. So I just wanted to get the information and the word out there that even if you do not have a purple voter's card, if you have voted in an election before, you are allowed to vote. So you can show up to your constituency with your passport and your name would be on the register and you would be allowed to vote. Now, once you get into the box to vote, practical information is you only want to mark your X in the box. I know my cousin told me a story that a lot of years back, my grandfather actually went to vote and he signed his name on the ballot. That would disqualify the ballot. So you don't want to write anything other than your X in the box on the ballot. You don't want to sign your name. You don't want to mark anything, no notation other than marking your X in the box, so that you do know that your ballot is included. Other than that, I would just say stay calm. We are a democratic country. Not everyone's going to be on the same side. Not everybody's going to agree. That's why we all have our one vote. So be calm, enjoy the experience. It does only happen once every 5 years. And let's see what happens.
All right. Well, I have to ask you,
Yes.
the Parliamentary Registration Department, they put out a statement saying that individuals are allowed to have 2 hours on Election Day to vote in addition to their 1 hour lunch.
Yes.
Now, we've heard that people have been on the line for the advance poll, which is a smaller population,
Yes.
for more than 3 and 5 hours.
Yes.
So when it comes down to an individual going on the line and voting and having to be there longer than the 3 hours, right?
Yes.
Longer than 3 hours.
Yes.
And they have to come back to work now.
Yes.
Are they penalized? How does that work?
Well, I think employers should be compassionate based on the circumstances. There has been a lot of media around the delays that occurred during the advance poll. So I think that most employers, who most of them would be voting as well, would understand and appreciate if their employees have to be out more than the 2 hours plus the 1 hour lunch break. But what I would say to employees is to communicate. If you can contact your job, if you realize, hey, I've been there for 2 hours, it's almost 3 hours, and it doesn't appear that I might be back on time, to maybe make a call to your employer, make a call to a coworker who may be there and advise, hey, the lines are longer than expected. I'm expected I might be here another 30 minutes or so. Could you just let so-and-so know so that they can cover for me? Right. Just, courtesy,
Just
I think. Yes,
yeah.
communication, I think. I think everybody understands what is happening in the process, and everybody wants to get to the polls before they close. So I don't think that would be an issue with employers once it's properly communicated.
Right. You also mentioned that if you registered or if you voted in the last election,
Yes.
that you don't necessarily have to register this time around. You just need to bring your card and go on out and vote, right?
Yes.
But if you change constituencies, that's not the case, correct?
That's not the case.
Okay.
So you have to be still a constituency at the address that you were previously registered to.
Right.
So if your voter's card has you in a constituency, let's say St. Anne's, but you have now moved to St. James, then that can be an issue. You have to be in the constituency that you were previously registered in.
Okay.
Other than that, then no, you're not allowed to vote.
Okay.
Yes.
I have to ask too. Is there a certain attire that's required when you go in to vote? Do you have to dress a certain way? Like, are certain things not allowed?
I mean, I would say just regular decorum. Everyone's in their political gear most times, so you may be in your certain colors, but don't feel forced to be in any color. I think that you can be neutral. I think you just want to be covered up. Maybe your arms covered up. You don't want to be revealing too much, but I don't think that is a bond from you voting. I mean, if you show up and you're ready to vote, you should be allowed to vote. That's my perspective.
Right. And then what should you take into the room, or what shouldn't you have with you in the room? For example, can you take your cell phone in the room with you?
Well, as far as I'm advised, you're not allowed to take your cell phone. If you are a person that needs help, I think Khalil was here on Friday where he was discussing rules around that. You're allowed to bring somebody with you who may be able to assist if you're blind, let's say, or you're unable to walk and you need help. One person is allowed to come in the room with you. However, I think any devices or technology would have to be left on the outside.
Okay.
Yes.
And individuals with a criminal record, can they vote?
Yes, they are allowed to vote. So having no previous convictions or a clean criminal record is not a precursor or a requirement to be able to vote. Once you're a Bahamian, once you are free, you're not in custody at the moment, you have registered or you have voted before, you're allowed to appear in the poll with your voter's card or with a passport if you've already registered before and have not changed constituencies and vote.
Okay.
Yes.
I read somewhere where it said that individuals that are mentally unstable are not allowed to vote. How do we determine that, and what's that process like?
Well, I think if there is known mental capacity issues. So if you are a person who may have a mental health diagnosis, if you're a person who is known to be on certain medications, maybe because of mental health or maybe Alzheimer's or dementia, I think that could be a concern and your vote can be protested because you want the person who is going in there to decide who is going to be representing us and representing your country to be cognizant of what they're doing, to have the right mental state and be aware of what they're doing when they go into that box.
Yeah. Well, listen, it's been a pleasure having you on.
Thank
you
you
for being with us, and thank you for sharing all the
and
information.
Happy election.
Right? Happy election day, just days away.
Yes, exciting.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, you've been watching Bahamas at Sunrise. Hey, election day is right around the corner. Be sure to do your part and know your rights and rules. We'll be right back.